And we're on the line with Barbara Parkins, the superintendent of the United School District this morning. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here today. This is a really big week, isn't it, for any school, but for United as well, with graduation and the end of the school year. Lots to do in this final week.
Absolutely lots to do.
So let's talk a little bit about it and start with graduation. For United's plans, graduation coming up later this week. Fill us in as we go to Green on Friday. Does that change what United was planning to do?
It absolutely changes our plans. We were set to have graduation on Thursday the 4th, but we all had our fingers crossed when the first set of counties moved into Green. We knew that a week later we had moved when they moved from yellow to yellow. So we were thinking we would be Green, and we are. So now graduation is not set virtually. It's set as live in person, and we're keeping our fingers crossed for the weather, weather permitting. If not, we'll be moving to the following day.
Looks like you'll be fine.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're crossing the fingers. Sun and clouds and a couple of showers in the forecast, but we can be hopeful because it's called for, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's that time of the year when the weather just wreaks havoc on graduation. So
yeah. So Thursday, are there still things that will be going on Thursday for the seniors?
There are. There's a virtual program that honors the seniors. It's typically the program that we follow for the senior banquet, but we did not have the senior banquet. So at that program, seniors are recognized for scholarships and some other recognitions that they've earned throughout this year. And we do a senior video when there's a picture of them as a toddler or a baby, and then now as a senior, and it's set to music. So that will still be part of the Thursday program.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that will be going on. Meanwhile, of course, the seniors having to wrap up their academic career at United in a unique way this year, as every other school district has had to, and it I'm sure has had its challenges. Everybody on board, and everybody has everything completed in order to graduate?
Yes, this last week, everybody's turning in their final assignments. And we have a drop-off kind of system going on at both the elementary and the high school. So, everything's getting collected and graded, and students are well on their way towards the end of the year. On Thursday, actually, is the last student day.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've talked about with other school district superintendents is exchange of property. They've brought things home from school to help with their learning, and they've left some things at school too, and that all has to be handled too, does it not?
It does, and what we've been doing in the meantime while they're studying at home, we have folks at the school that have been emptying lockers into bags and then labeling them. So I know last Friday there was a lineup of many bags in the hallway. So we have a schedule for them to come so that we can run things out to them, and they drop off things, and we check off library books that were due and things like that. So yeah, it's an exchange of property. That's a good way to put it.
It's sometimes can be a little bit messy, especially in this day and age. But maybe the last couple of months have taught a few lessons so that you have a better handle on procedures.
Well, a procedure that I don't think any of us ever expected. So, something that we need to add to our emergency planning now that we have this true pandemic. I know when the H1N1 hit several years ago, it was considered the big pandemic, and we had plans for that, but nothing like this. No, absolutely not. Hey, I wanted to congratulate you as a school district because I don't know that folks are generally aware of it, but United was named to the U.S. News and World Report Best High School rankings for this year. Yes. That's a big achievement. Yes. It is a big achievement. We've been named a couple of times since I've been there, and I know that the high school principal had added it to his section of the web page, but I'm not sure if everybody ever gets to, specific parts of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that has to make you proud because it's not just a ranking
based upon the fact that you finish in this position or that position among your other schools around the region. But this is national recognition.
It is national, and we're glad to be named as one of the top U.S. high schools.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to everybody working so hard in the United School District. So let's talk a little bit about how it has gone for you in terms of educating students distance. We talked with you a month or so ago, and we were progressing 1 month to the next, and lessons were being learned and applied, and changes were being made. I don't think you had to make very many adjustments to the way that United was doing things right from the start. But talk about this past month and how it's gone.
Well, we had started off with the enrichment and review, and then moved to planned instruction. So a non-graded period of time for students and parents and teachers and me to get used to things being remote. Mm-hmm. So, and then that enrichment and review changed to the planned instruction, the graded assignments that looked a whole lot like what students were learning prior to that, but we knew that there'd be an adjustment period. So we thought that was a good transition from, closing the school doors and then giving them a chance to get used to being at home and then actually grading the assignments. So, things looked very similar, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And they took to it well?
Yes. We still have a number of students in our district and districts that surround us that have a lack of internet service, which makes it difficult to people that have full-blown one-to-one computer-aided instruction from their schools, because we just can't offer that without having internet and broadband to those homes. Mm-hmm. So we have a plan, for the upcoming school year, whether that's going to be, students part-time at home or full day at school or full day home if that pandemic reoccurs. Yeah. So we have several plans in place for the upcoming 2021 school year, and hopefully everything will go well and we'll all be back to normal.
I know you've had those conversations, those weekly conversations with other superintendents around Indiana County and the region, and they've been very helpful according to some of the other superintendents I've spoken with. But if you could talk a little bit about that, because it seems like a lot of schools have settled in to that same model of maybe part-time in the building and part-time at home. And I would guess that a lot of that came from those discussions. Would that be true?
It did. At United, the administrators meet every day. And then once a week, we meet with the other Indiana County administrators. So a lot of those discussions actually were derived from CDC recommendations in the Department of Health. And not knowing whether, there's going to be a vaccine or a treatment that comes before the school year starts. And it looks unlikely that will occur. So, we have to put in place some best case and worst case scenarios, and that's what we do as a team in Indiana County. So that really has helped us to frame our plan.
Yeah, and we think about it in terms of education and classes and being in the building, and that has to be a tremendous challenge to schedule. When do teachers, when do they come to the classroom? When do students come to the classroom? All of that will remain to be worked out over the course of the summer, that scheduling. But there's also the extracurricular activities, and those have to be discussed as well, do they not?
Yes, I think that we're supposed to get some guidance later this week. We heard, we heard mid-June that the Pennsylvania Department of Education was going to release some guidance to schools. But there's a rumor out there that it may be this week, and we don't have to wait till mid-June. The more time that we have to plan, the better. But included in that is guidance from Dr. Rachel Levine on how extracurricular sports will reoccur and start reopening for schools.
How much do you rely on the conversations with teachers, other administrators, athletic directors, and coaches in order to help you to understand what the issues are and then therefore what some of the solutions can be?
Well, we rely on each other, very much. So as far as sports, um, not from somebody outside of the school district, but from within the school district would be our athletic director and then our high school principal who's in charge of all PIAA sports.
Mm-hmm.
So they attend those meetings and get guidance from the PIAA on things that we're able to do as for extracurricular activities.
Yeah. And as far as talking to teachers, those same conversations have to be held as to what works, what has really stood out as a really valuable part of the online learning experience, and then what will translate better into in-classroom. I'm sure those will remain to be developed over the summer. There should be some pretty exciting possibilities.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the teachers know their students much better than the administrators do because they're with them on a daily basis. So, and the upcoming school year, they'll have a different set of students, so they'll have to get to learn them and their best ways of learning. So as the time goes on and the process develops, we get better and better at what works and what doesn't.
We have talked with other school districts as well about welcoming new students into new buildings. You're going to have students who were in the elementary building now coming into the high school building. You'll have students who've never been in a classroom setting coming into the elementary schools. Those challenges, if you could spend some time talking about how they get worked out.
Yeah, usually in the summer, the first few weeks before the school year starts, we have orientation for those kids moving to one building, whether it's sixth grade to seventh grade or incoming pre-K students or kindergarten students. And depending on what we're allowed to do, orientation is going to look a whole lot different, I imagine. We generally for pre-K give them a ride on the school bus, which is another big issue for us if we need to social distance. So, we've been talking about transportation being one of the big factors in how we get kids to school safely. Not just riding on the school bus safely, but actually, keeping students apart from each other.
Yeah, there are some issues out there that we don't realize the added expense that school districts are going to face. And as families and as taxpayers, I know that you watch and do whatever you can, the best that you can in order to ease that burden. But still, there are things that are just unavoidable expenses.
Yes. When you think about a school bus, 2 kids in a seat, every seat, and even if we would have half the students in, every other day, that would reduce the bus, in essence, to half. So that means 1 student in every seat. But we're thinking we need to have 1 student in every other seat. Mm-hmm. So that means the bus would have to actually make 2 runs on those days. So that would be an expense there that, that we're anticipating, but not anticipating in our budget.
Oh, my goodness. This is going to be some adventurous summer, isn't it?
It will be.
Lots of decisions to be made. Mm-hmm. Well, we wish you the best. Barbara Parkins, thanks so much for joining us today to talk about United, and congratulations to the graduates, to the school district as a whole, to the high school as well for that U.S. News and World Report ranking. It's good times going on at United despite everything that's happening. That's
right. It's always a good time at United. Once a lion, always a lion. We are, what we are, and hear us roar.
Fighting the battle. Appreciate your time this morning. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
There is Barbara Parkins. She is the superintendent of the United School District. The United School District. The United